left coast is the best coast.
Go.
That's what I'm talking about. What's going on, Super John? How are you doing tonight?
Hey, Rick, doing okay?
So we are on to episode 4 of Skeleton Crew, titled like I ain't heard no At Attin. That's
Yeah.
literally what the title is called, which is good. I'm glad I find out the name of these episodes because I actually looked them up afterwards what they're called. Unlike Ahsoka and Mando and Book of Boba Fett, all of those kind of showed a title name right at the beginning of the credits, like.
Oh, yeah. This one really kind of
And
doesn't.
this one didn't. So again, a little different that way, but it's the first 3 episodes. The title of the episode was actually a line of dialogue that Neil spoke within that episode. And this episode 4, of course, the line of dialogue we hear SM33 say like dozens of times throughout the first 3 episodes and go on to this one. So that's his pre-recorded message, as some predicted, because it was getting to be like, why does it keep saying this? He must be programmed to be hiding something. And it turns out that's exactly the case, right?
Yeah. And it was foreshadowed because that, like the girl herself said in the show, was that she was like, I do this with the robot at home.
Yes, with her maid droid.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
we saw
Oh,
her.
Mom, I'm upstairs the whole time, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
overprogram you. and it was really, it ended up being really bad at lying because the mom
Yeah, it
questioned
did.
droid,
Yeah.
and you're like, yeah, upstairs. Yeah. Like, it was like Rob Schneider was the robot. It was pretty funny. Oh, yeah, no, good foreshadowing. That makes me wonder what other foreshadowing did we see. So another
Yeah.
one I'll point out is I don't know all the characters' names yet. I know Win and Neil, but the one girl who's like the leader of the class, and she's the pirate captain now. That's not. We'll get her name. Someone will chat. I'll pop it in. But her house has that mural on the wall of it shows a hammerhead. It shows a little blue
Yeah.
elephant man and a couple people. One looks like a Jedi and whatnot. And then they go to literally that exact same house on probably the same cul-de-sac on this new planet we visit. And it's got that same mural on the wall. And it's all damaged and stuff. And the first thing they knew is the tree's too big. But so, yeah, we got that foreshadowing. And we know there's going to be more as well. And I have a new question now that I thought of today. What if these planets are, because we're in Star Wars and we have cloning, what if there's like clones of all the people? Like there's 9 Neils and 9 Wins and 9 of the other kids, and like just a thought, like if they're that identical when it comes to the appearance and the way everything's built and obviously monitored and controlled in some kind of neo-Nazi whatever kind of way, communism kind of way, like we'll find out the reason why eventually, but I wonder how similar they really were. Like, and now I'm more and more thinking that the high leader guy is definitely like going to just be a droid.
Yeah, it's going to be a droid. Yeah. Are they the same though? Because wouldn't that tower have to be on the kids' planet? And then wouldn't they all know, well, look, there's 9 other planets because they're.
Well, no, because they said nobody can go. Nobody
like
can
on
go
his planet, no one's allowed up there.
Why am I seeing this?
On his planet, no one's allowed up there.
Yeah, that's what he said. No one goes up there, kind of thing. Gotcha. So maybe it's like a, droid only kind of place, because that's all we see. We don't see any human police and stuff like that. We just see all the security droids, right?
And then only that girl, that lady that was higher up. What was it? I think it was in episode 3 where she's like, I need to go, like, set my own
Yeah, I'll have to make an
with
appointment.
Yeah, my own
Like that.
appointment with the dude.
So
And
yeah,
the guy was like, you could hear the droid while the parents were arguing. You could hear the droid in the background repeating over and over, "No one is allowed to go up there and see the dude, and no one's allowed to leave the planet. No one's allowed to see the dude. No one's allowed to leave the planet." You
yeah,
know?
like a almost like a pre-recorded, much like SME. You recorded to say this, and this. If someone responds, well, much like we deal with when we deal with our internet companies and shit, like,
Yeah, yeah.
"Hi, this is Stu." Yeah, it's not Stu. You're some automated copy and paste machine. Come
Yeah,
on,
yeah.
man.
Well, another thing too is you got to look at it in a weird way. Like all the, I'm starting to think there's a choice in the design of everything, all the way down to the droids. Because I wondered this when I first saw those droids, where I was like, every time else in Star Wars, when we see a droid, most of the time they have almost a humanoid face.
Mm-hmm.
But for some
These ones
reason,
are just
these
cameras.
security droids actually look like a security camera.
They do very
You know
much
what
so.
I mean? So it's kind of like like at first I thought, oh, that's an interesting droid design, but now it's like, no, that's probably on purpose because they're in a surveillance state. They're
Mm-hmm.
in, you know, it's like that society's very, very controlled, you know?
Yeah, it's definitely it's not something new to us seeing it in Star Wars with the politics George brought into it in the prequels, and what the more modern kind of social state we've seen in the last few Disney Plus series and stuff. So this one's, to me, this is a refresher. Let's clean our palate with the last nastiness of Star Wars programs we've given you, and we'll give you something fresh and fun. And I'm not gonna lie, man, I'm really digging this now. Like, I saw my first negative review on this series today, and I was quite surprised. I was very surprised, and had to turn the volume down because there's so many swear words, and I like swear words. I'm Canadian, like I swear often, but I was like, "Whoa, slow down! There's children in my building that could hear this, and that calm down now." So I was very surprised at that because this is the first episode in a long time where I felt emotion for it,
Yeah.
and I didn't feel emotion when I watched Goonies or Peter Pan or Treasure Island. Like, I was a kid, I had fun watching these programs and movies and stuff. But now as an adult, as a call myself a Star Wars fan, because that's what we are for watching this show. We're not just watching this for science fiction entertainment value. We're Star Wars fans. I really, really am liking this series so far. I think the writing is top notch. I think the two directors who worked on this show, who are known for Everything Always at Once, that film,
Mhm.
which I thought was a great film, but I thought this episode had a lot more, I don't know, a lot more of that old school, again, 80s Goonies, Ablin vibe. Like, but it was the most Star Warsy that I've seen Star Wars on Disney Plus be in a long time. Like, and that's a lot to do with the hammerheads and the Greedos and familiar beasts we'll see. And, like, yeah, so this episode we didn't get no X-Wings or TIE fighters or Lax Civraks, but we got a bunch of other stuff that's just as cool, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Well, I was surprised that I didn't know that Eopie or whatever had antlers.
Well, I guess much like bulls here, like maybe that's the male version, right?
Yeah.
Because there was both. There was horned Eopies and there was non-horned Eopies.
Because I
And
was
our
like, oh,
introduction,
because when we first saw them, I was like, and then we saw the ones with the antlers. I was like, oh, cool, they got like a different species of
It could be
Ethiopia or
that too,
whatever.
like an antelope instead of just a deer, because
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know they're the same mammalia
And they
family,
looked
but they're
bigger.
different.
They looked bigger too. They looked a little bigger. So I was
Yeah,
like,
more like a cattle.
yeah.
You
So I
know,
was
like
like,
like they use them
a
for
different?
hide, so I'm assuming they use them for meat as well, right?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So I was like, is that a different species of Ethiopia or I don't know what is that what they're called? What are they called?
Eopie.
Just Ethiopia? That's it. No, you don't say it twice. I like to say it twice. Ethiopia.
Eopie, yeah. As was introduced to us in episode 1, 2, and 3 with Kenobi
Yeah.
riding them and their poopy fart sounds, and that was the humor. And there was a little bit of humor in this episode too. Not a lot, but the babysitting comment I thought was pretty fun. And Neil always tends to put a smile on me face. He's a good character. But the standout actor in this episode was the captain, in my opinion. She brought it. So a couple of slides that didn't show up when they arrived to this planet, which they're all assuming is At Attin. We'll see those kind of satellite-looking things in the atmosphere, along with those kind of
Yeah.
green clouds. And I guess those satellite-looking things is that grid we see, from the ground when we look up instead of stars. You kind of see those red
Yeah.
lights on that grid that are keeping people in and out, kind of thing. But I like this cockpit view. I thought that was a good shot. Some
Yep.
more cool cinematic scenes in this episode as well.
And he steals their money, the kids'
He
money.
does steal their money, so now we're seeing the creepy pirate side of Jod No Nawood, or is it Crimson Jack, or is it Captain Silvo? And we see kind of, either a toy lightsaber here, we win stuff, and we got a space Rubik's Cube. And what I saw someone comment that looks like a space battle.
It is. It's
You sank my Star Destroyer.
Oh, I thought it was 4 in a row.
Or Connect 4, or
Connect 4. Yeah, that's
kind of a game, which I don't remember them bringing like a bag of personal belongings with them, but they did all have knapsacks. So
yeah,
I'm assuming he's got his other, besides his little iPad, got this bag of coins and Rubik's Cube and toy lightsaber and whatnot.
Well, they made it sound like the well, I mean, I don't know about this. If this planet would still value them higher, but like the pirates themselves on that pirate cove, where they got their ship or whatever,
Yep.
Fueled up and stuff. When those pirates saw them, they were like mint condition Republic credits. Like, where'd you get these? So it made it sound like because they talked about the condition that they're worth more than what a Republic credit would have been worth during the Republic. Do you know what I'm saying? Like almost like they have a collector's value to them because they're like, where'd you get one in mid condition?
And it also makes me, it's again foreshadowing to later in this episode where, we learn what Jod Nawood does with those credits, what he says he does with those credits. And I'm like, okay, so you're on a planet that's isolated from other planets. Or maybe this planet is not now, but I mean, it's obviously not a well-traveled place because of the state it's in and their inner civil war that's kind of currently happening. But what good are these credits on a planet to people who trade fur? Like,
yeah.
so that's
what I mean. If they have
Jod was lying, and he
if
just
they have
killed
contact
all
with
those
the
people.
outside world, though, they might know the value of those to the outside world, and it would help it would actually shift the battle towards the other guys. You know what I mean?
And they must be in contact. Like, who are they going to trade furs with? Their enemy?
Yeah.
So yeah, and because they didn't go and like steal their spaceship, although maybe they did try to steal the spaceship and we didn't see that part, and Jod, force killed them all. However you want to put it. Like, still something about him, but he seemed a little more honorable in this episode. So here's what they call him, like Captain No Head.
Yeah.
No Head Man, which is perfect. this guy Wynn should be naming all the new Kenner action figures.
Well, what was interesting is that did they say about that? Like, they have that statue on there?
Not that we know of, that wasn't brought up.
Yeah.
And it's not an obvious droid, as you know, we're kind of thinking it could be, you know, a droid as the, you know,
president. See, I was trying to
of
figure out like which senator from the old republic it was. You know what I mean? Like who wore that outfit that we've seen before? Do you know what I mean?
It's kind of tough to tell from that, eh?
Yeah. Because I was like, it's clearly not Palpatine.
It's Grief Karga.
So I was kind of like trying to, you know, because that was my first thought, was like, maybe this is the founder of all the different planets. And if we look at the outfit hard enough and we look back at who all the senators were, we could figure out which one it was, you know?
Yeah. Sure, it's one of the...
I was like, I don't think Palpatine ever wore those kind of jacket and pants combination.
No, and this guy looks pretty thick too, like not fat, but just a lot thicker build than Sheev Palpatine or you know, even Snoke, or you know, someone of that nature, or Hux, or Hux's uncle or brother or dad, or whatever other Hux is involved in this scenario, because I'm sure they are. And so yeah, either some slides are out of order, but you know, please bear with me. This is a spoiler show, so we're going to spoil it in any order we want. So we run into some children who captured the Skeleton Crew children, and Wynn makes a remark, "Oh, is this the planet where the kids overrun all the parents?" And
yeah, I like that. That was funny.
I did think that was pretty clever. Cool looking helmet though in this chick.
Yeah.
And a little bit of, looks like kind of Cara Dune looking armor. A little different, but again, a very, in my opinion, very Star Warsy, and I liked it.
But see, that the helmets and equipment is what make it so, you know, they've had contact with things from another planet, because
I guess, yeah.
Where would they get those helmets and equipment? You know what I mean? Like
some of them were
clearly some of them were clearly Mud Trooper helmets and other, you know what I mean? So
At driver generals and all that.
Yeah, so they would have had to have had contact with someone from the...
Interesting. So again, more foreshadowing, right? Maybe we'll find out it was, you know, the Empire that created these planets, or remnants.
Well, I think the Empire might have come and tried to destroy them. Like, they knew whatever the goal was, and they came to try and collect the goal, and found they weren't done and just wiped them out. You know what I mean?
And we see the contrast. Like, here's that same school bus. You know, we saw them riding in on their planet, and this planet, you know, obviously, like many, many years ago, everything was, you know, blowed up real good kind of thing. But good scenery. I like the non-stagecraft. Like, it's not, I'm sure some of it is, but I mean, it's practical. I like the practical effects, especially you know, our Lord and Savior himself, Lord Hammerhead, piloting this tank, this battle tank. So there's
these hammerheads were striped, and I thought that was kind of neat. They were yellow stripes. Yeah.
The only detail we only got like the one scene of Hammerhead originally, and I played it like in the intro, like it's 4 seconds, like that's what, and it's in a dark room. So we kind of don't know his colorations unless we look at, you know, action figures and artist renderings and stuff like that. But yeah, we got some familiar looking, you know, AT-AT, you know, general and driver kind of looking helmets.
Yeah.
Some new welding mask looking kind. And they're flying.
But I thought this was it was almost like a modified version of a separatist battle droid tank, you know.
Yeah, those AATs or whatever they're called.
Yeah, but there were a lot of differences on it. But I mean, it was very similar in style, you know. So I was like, is it a different separatist tank? You know what I mean?
And here's Hammerhead number 2 over here in the bottom corner.
Yeah. There was a lot on this planet. Yeah.
And I got them all. And they're on
Actually,
both teams. They're on both
is there
teams.
two of them side by side? Is there another one behind that girl there too? You see that little eye stalk sticking out to the left of that girl, right next to the other hammerhead?
Over here.
Yeah, there's an eye stalk.
Yeah, maybe.
I think there's two next. There was one behind that girl. Yeah.
And then we got our first look of the horned Eopies.
Horned opie.
Yeah, so we got some red colors for these guys, and then they go and visit, what is on their planet, their school, their big education center kind of thing, and it's now, the war panel, the war room,
and training
boom,
area.
there's
And
another hammerhead. Thank you very much.
more hammerheads. Yeah.
So the more hammerheads, the better. If you haven't hit that poll, vote in the poll in the chat. The poll in the chat, John, if you didn't see it, is how many hammerheads is too many hammerheads? And the options are 4 to 5, or there are never enough.
Yeah, there's never enough hammerheads.
There has been 0 people that have tuned into this yet, and that's the first time I've ever seen that. So I'm assuming we're live because it shows me as live on the YouTube. So that's why there's 0 people in the poll.
Let's see.
Maybe those drones attacked, and I wasn't notified because I'm in Canada.
We're live, yeah.
So, and then Jod Wood was, being babysat, and he got caught stealing those coins. And then he figured out that there's something wrong with this droid by hiding this At Attin and what he knows about At Attin, because they're on a planet called At Attin,
something like
add a couple of vowels and syllables, and it's a different planet. And then we got more hammerheads. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
You're welcome. More hammerheads. But yeah, the droid can't walk very well, so he's walking like a grandma down the ramp. And it was a pretty neat discovery. Like, he's asking about the treasure, and he's like, "Oh, forget about the treasure. Look at these warriors." And the guy's like, "What are you talking about?"
And then out of the mist, they show up, yeah.
So that was pretty cool. That was very, pirate movie-ish, and I like it a lot.
Yeah.
And again, another good camera shot. And he's like, just shoot me. So we made a little.
Yeah, that was funny. He just like, I'm done now. This is like getting beyond.
And I'm curious what do you think actually happened, John? Do you think he paid them a couple of credits like he said he did, or do you think he weaseled his way out of it with trickery and force?
No, I bet they did make some kind of arrangement, because you're right. I mean, like, they would have, if nobody's on the ship, that's one hell of an asset to have, is aerial power when you're in a civil war. Like, they could definitely use the firepower on that ship. I mean, it had a lot of guns, and so they would want it. So he must have finagled some kind of deal, and he wouldn't, he sort of like gave up at the beginning, but whenever their leader came over, he probably would have negotiated with them, because he doesn't want to go back to someone's holding cell. And for whatever reason, he suddenly started really caring about the kids and said, I can't leave them in the hands of the opposing force. So he, obviously must have bartered or done something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm thinking more on that line too, because the other is pretty brutal on this.
Because I don't know how he would kill the whole clan.
But he might have made the deal like, well, oh yeah, I'll give you our ship or something, or I'll promise you some of this treasure that we're going to get, or
that could be too. Yeah, you don't know what. Yeah, if it was,
we don't know they're all waiting at the ship for them either, right?
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. Welcome, Sticks. So yeah, we're still open on that. Me and John, I think, agree maybe he didn't kill them all. It's an army. Like I'm sure there's more than a dozen people, like 20 people or at least.
Well, because he obviously went to their camp because he got the Eopie back.
Yes.
So they didn't have the Aopi at the
Oh, I
ship.
get.
So
Yeah, maybe not.
he
They
had
weren't
to
with
have
them.
gone back to their camp. So he didn't. That's what I'm saying. He wouldn't have killed that entire faction, that entire side of, and ended the war for them. You know what I mean? Like,
Six boys. Some groups give up if you kill the leader. Oh, good point.
that could be too.
Especially
Yeah.
the leader could be a child. Which coming into it when they're being introduced into this, this war room, I'm like, it's gonna be all kids, man. Like, those movies gone past, like it's all.
In the
Trying to think
before
of what.
time. Yeah, in the
Yeah,
before
yeah.
time. Yeah.
But instead of being run by kids, they're all from France. Like and which we're used to the English, the Great British accent as being like associated with, the empire. All the empire greats were British.
Well, it was,
and even into the first older Hux, even though he's not, I don't think he's really British in real life, but he added extra British oomph to his accent. And Captain Phasma, of course, British, and now, as far as I know, this is the first time we've had French people. Like,
they've since added in that the accent was sort of a upper class way of talking. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, because I guess the French accent was also with in the cartoons with Filoni's Twi'leks on their planet. They spoke like Baton Rouge, like, which I don't.
Well,
I don't
even Hera says it too, because like when they would at some point they were at some point they were like, Hera, why don't you talk that way or something like that? And she's like, well, that's the way that when you're higher up in status, you put on that accent, but they're like, Hera doesn't feel like she needs to with her friends and stuff,
And you're exactly right, Sticks. Lord of the Flies, that's the story I was remembering, because I remember we had to read that book in school, and I remember a couple of the films afterwards, because again, that was it's a fun adventure when I was a kid, right? Like watching or even reading that book. Like, it was hard, not just for me, but I'm sure it was hard for lots of kids to read a book and do your homework, because a lot of the material was garbage, right? But a lot of it wasn't, and there's reasons why our school systems chose a lot of these books, and I'm sure in America you guys also had to read Lord of the Flies and similar type books, to review in class later on. But yeah, I was kind of thinking that was going to happen, but as the leader said, we treat everyone as equals, and boom, there's the coolest looking hammerhead so far.
Yep, another hammerhead. Yep.
So that means they just got a bunch of these hammerhead costumes laying around, and they could be here in my apartment, standing guard, feeding my cat. I could put them to work too.
I just thought they made like one or two costumes so they used it in every shot.
Well, that's that's more realistic,
because they were like we made this damn thing. He's got to be in every shot.
So this is the symbol of this clan.
Yeah, well, it's the all the different At Attin planets.
It is, but I mean, it's the symbol of this flag, this team on this planet. The other one, I didn't see any symbols because we didn't see them up close a lot, but they wore red. So they're, if they had a symbol, I bet you it wasn't this exact same symbol, but
I got you.
But okay, so this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is 7 circles. Those planets are 9.
Were there 9? Okay.
This to me is more of a like the Imperial cog. It has that octagonal kind of shape.
Yeah.
I know it can't be that. But
well, the other thing is that if you notice the other group seemed to have more of those helmets and tanks and other things that were more like separatist sort of looking stuff and Imperial looking stuff, which makes me think like, maybe the Imperials did try to destroy all this place because they were looking for whatever the reason that these planets were set up to do whatever they're doing, you know?
Mm-hmm. And kind of talked over this earlier, but yeah, her and Neil here, the kids were all doing like target practice because the leader of this
Yeah.
clan was like, all right, let's put you to work. Which, you know, I'm like, okay, that's adding to the story. Like these kids, we're finally going to see these kids, you know, learn how to shoot guns and whatnot, but
They
not
were goofing off the whole time.
but not Neil though. Neil's like, no, I'm a lover. I'm not a fighter.
Yeah.
He said that with the movement of his trunk,
Uh-huh.
and we get getting a little connection here between these two.
I just wonder what it is with all these girls in the Star Wars universe falling for children.
Well, she's a child,
But
so
she's
soon.
way older than him, and I mean that doesn't happen. Like
Well, we don't
Padme
know. He
falling
could
for
be
a 9-year-old kid.
355 years old.
Yeah, sure.
Like, so, and then Win gets like, of course, the biggest heavy machine gun kind of thing he gets. And what does this remind you of when he like turns up the volume to maximum?
Well, that's like to me that was like in Men in Black when they blow away the whole thing and make a canyon.
Oh, okay, I recall that now. But for me, the first thing I saw, and it was even in the sound, like is Back to the Future. Marty McFly playing the guitar. That Doc says, "Don't play this," and first thing he does is crank it up full blast and go flying just like Win did, right?
Yeah.
So then I thought that was a fun, you know, callback to another classic.
But yeah,
and then we'll see a little mud trooper looking goggles and stuff, right?
Yeah.
This is cool. So now this was like, okay, we're gonna see a battle. Like,
and they avoided it.
We haven't seen a battle since Andor. And I'm thinking,
let's throw the kids out there in the front.
And of course they're gonna like, all right, kids, you're gonna front of the line. I'm like, what the France? Like, really? Like that's your plan with these kids? How brutal of a clan.
I was expecting actually them to go meet the leaders of their clan or whatever, the other forward infantry, and have the elephant kid like bend down and be like, I refuse to fight, and you know, and then Kylo Bren. Oh yeah, like I thought he might
Kylo Ren, from the cartoons.
Or he meant Kylo Ren style.
No, you remember Kylo Ren in the cartoons? He had
I remember Kylo Ren.
The Nazi spike on it, which is probably why they don't play that or sell that on Disney Plus.
But that's up on Disney Plus. They have all the droids.
Kylo Ren's on there?
Yeah, they have all the droids.
Okay.
Up there. I just thought that the kid would say, I don't want to fight, and then he, do what he said. I'd rather talk and so I thought that he'd force them to start negotiating in a sense,
Yeah, Neil being the politician friendly person he is, right?
Yeah, but no, look, surprisingly, it was because he ended up in the front. If you notice,
he did. He walked right in front of everyone.
Neil ended up right in the front. So I was like, oh, this is where he, speaks up and says, let's refuse to fight, and talk this out, or something like that. But then that's
kind of when I got concerned, like, because he was just kind of talking. He was like, okay, yeah, we're friends, and he was just kind of forcing himself to move forward because, like, they have sticks. Like, apparently these are blasters of some sort, but they're sticks. So, like, everyone else has heavy machinery behind them, but let's give these kids a rod and a stick and a flamethrower thing, and even though they just practice with real weapons, but so when I saw this starting to happen, I was a little concerned for the kids. I'm like, there's no way they're killing off, or I thought maybe they're going to capture or something like that. There would be a fight and there would be turmoil for the kids. But of course there was not, because it was Jod Nanawood with all the Eopies that he rescued or purchased. And SM-33, which you can see how short he is when he's all hunched over, and how big he gets. Like, he gets in like extendo mode.
Yeah.
Inspector Gadget extend all ligaments mode. But yeah, this Remy LeBeau kind of clan leader guy. Thought he was apparently he's a well-known French actor as well. I don't recognize
Yeah,
him.
I've seen him before. I've
I'm
seen
not
him
from
before in
France.
movies stuff. Yeah. No, I've seen him in a lot of different things. He was.
But yeah, this is the first. This wasn't the emotional scene for me. This was just a cool scene. Like Neil made a friend who happens to be a girl, so now Neil's got a crush on two girls, and everyone's like, "Come on, Neil, we gotta go. Come on."
I
Kiss her
I
goodbye.
almost thought that she was going to end up going with them because I was like, oh, is this going to be one of those stories where they pick up people along the way and end up with a crew by the
He
end?
tried. He said we got lots of room in my house.
Yeah, he wanted to move in with her already. He's like, ah, damn, this is my wife. You know,
And believe it or not, this is the first time we kind of see, Jod Nanawood's pants, and he's got the hand solo pinstripe along the brown pants, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And he's wearing like the Lando blue kind of shirt, which again is kind of cool. And it just kind of shows he really is a little bit of a mix of those two characters. Oh, here's that first slide overall. Where we got
those satellite
things. Just a great shot of Neil. His blue hair waving in the wind. I'm so jealous of his hair.
Not Seven Samurai. There you go. It's like
just that he has hair.
Boy is saying like
yeah, exactly. I've seen lots of that. And so because they met their task because the captain kind of said, "Oh, you guys aren't strong enough or brave enough to go find the map room in the pyre." So, but since they proved themselves, excuse me, she took him there, but she didn't go in there with him. She still felt like there was still some harm that could come, which is weird because we didn't see any harm. There was no danger at all because either Jod Nawood, paid off the other clan or he killed them all. Yeah, my rod stuff give me courage too. And then so that they find these 9 different pillars or 7 different, as 6 said in the chat. I'm pretty sure it would have been 9, no. And the one with their planet, the coordinates are scraped off. And they're like, what the hell? Who would have done that? And we find out it was Smee. But this is where, like, I felt the emotion in this episode that I haven't seen since I saw Luke Skywalker come on screen in Mandalorian. And this was just a surprise to me. Like, she was a very strong character so far, a leader of this crew, including the adult. Adults out of the cockpit, please. So she's the most mature of this crew of kids, and she's like on their planet. She's like in a leadership class, so she's poised to become a leader of the people because of maybe not because of her family status, but because of her smarts and her her abilities and whatnot. And this hit me. This, like, I didn't start crying, but I'm like, I was verklempt, if that's a proper word to use. And then even more so when Wynn was looking at her like, oh man, like you're the person I trust, and I see you showing this weakness, and now either I got to step up or acknowledge that you're great, which he did. And I just thought it was a very powerful scene for both of these actors, who so far have just been having fun every episode. Everything's been a little bit more adventure.
The other thing I thought was funny is that everybody always says, we'll figure it out, or we'll figure it out, and she's like, what do you mean? How are we supposed to figure it out? And then like at that exact second, they figure it out. Wait a minute, the droid. Yeah, he keeps saying this.
And it was so. Yeah, the very next scene, she figures it out. Like, because she's like, oh, well, droids do whatever they're told. Except SM-33, who goes Inspector Gadget mode, and if someone asks about At Attin, I got to tear them limb from limb. And then this was more of that classic again, I have to use the word Goonies and Treasure Island and Treasure Planet and all these kind of classic 80s, pop culture movies where the screen shook a little bit and his voice changed and we got a total different, feel and vibe from this character who we're kind of starting to like. He was one of their companions on this first planet, or it's 2 planet adventure they've gone on in 4 episodes. So I do wonder if they're gonna, wipe his memory or try to fix him and repair him so he can be of use to
I
them.
think they will, of course. Yeah, once
Again,
he's been
because this
powered
character
down,
is the techie girl, right? She
yeah,
mentions the millions and millions of circuit wires and all the stuff she's got to deal with, but I'm pretty sure she can deal with it with her Lobot brain.
yeah. They'll get.
So he's about to kill the kids, and Neil saves the day by throwing a rock at him. So he became brave again. Like he became brave and marched to the front of the crowd when they thought they were going into battle. And then, he was brave again here, which I thought was just a nice little finish to this episode. It was a very strong Neil heavy episode, so it was a good story arc for that particular character, which I think most of the fans are happy with because he's obviously, one of the fan favorites, not just because of his cuteness, but yeah, the kid's doing a great job portraying this little blue elephant. And then he's like, yeah, and then he just faints. And I thought that was a very satisfying ending. Like, I thought it was nice.
Yeah.
Not a series ender, but an episode ender. No big cliffhanger. We have a lot more questions. 1 or 2 were answered when, we learn about this planet. We learn all the names are similar.
Yeah. I think the secret of the 7 or 9, however many planets there are, like, what's going to end up happening is, I mean, it might even be next episode. You're going to start to find out that this series is not about the kids. It's going to end up being more about these planets and what the ultimate goal was. Because I think the reveal, it's going to shock a lot of people who've only been paying attention to the children.
I agree. That's why when people say
undertones, there's more to this show and more to this story than the kids. And if you're focusing on the kids, you're going to be missing the entire point of the show. You know what I mean? It's one of those kind of things where I think it's trying to mislead and misdirect a lot of people, a lot of the audience.
And that's the main reason why, like, I like doing a show like this. And it's an episodic series where they release it weekly as opposed to here's 10 Strange New Worlds episodes. Go waste your freaking work day and watch all this, suckers. Like, I just think that's a stupid thing. I really do think that's a stupid thing. And I don't understand why streaming services actually still even do that. Like,
I like it both ways.
It shouldn't even be an option, in my opinion. If your goal is to earn income monthly via subscription basis money, you never drop half a movie if you have to. Like, that's going to happen in 2 years where here's the first half of Superman. Tune in next week. We'll play the second half. Like, but I mean, there's reasons why I say that, because now people can wait. If we're not getting into that, but I mean, I think there's a reason why that exists. And one of the reasons for me is I like that little bit of speculation and rumors and talking about Easter eggs.
It depends on the show. There's certain shows that should have been dropped all at once, and there's certain shows that the buildup works out well.
I think Acolyte for me is the only one that I would have enjoyed more if it was dropped at once, because it did have 3 similar episodes where it was just redoing the same thing, but from the left camera angle. Like, so I thought that was just kind of. I
One
blame
thing I
that
do,
on the editing
one thing
and the
I
people
do
who
think,
chose to edit it that way.
one thing I think about with Star Wars is that, I like the episodic way Star Wars comes out. I just wish they were closer together so we
Hmm.
didn't have like a 6 month or 8 month gap between shows. I wish it was like 3 weeks or something, a gap, because I want to see new Star Wars every week. But
I'm not getting sick of it. Like,
but
it could be
but
worse. It could be the Acolyte. It could be even worse. It could be Ahsoka.
but I also think when a series is done, I really do think they need to edit it into one movie length feature and
I
say,
see.
like, you can watch it now that it's all finished. You can either watch it the episodic way like we initially released it, but for those of you who want to watch it edited together into one big story and sit down for 4 hours and just watch it
Hmm.
nonstop, we've got to edit it together as if it were a movie, like even if
But
it is a 4 hour movie.
I know you're not new to Netflix, but I think it's still the same. I haven't had Netflix in a while, but I remember like Squid Game, like other shows that I binge watched at certain times. But say, yeah, you watch the first episode, you get the opening credits, you get the end credits, but then once you hit like skip credits or whatever, it brings you to the next episode, and it won't show you the credits anymore. It'll now
No,
continue.
yeah,
It'll
some
just
of them,
show the next
yeah,
7 episodes with no beginning credits, no end credits. It'll just go
yeah.
like 1 second,
Where
2 seconds,
these
auto skip.
Star Wars ones get stuck on those end credit things for
Because for
like
20
8 minutes.
minutes.
Yeah, and it's like, good Lord, yeah.
And the only reason I want to watch the Star Wars end credits to see if like Jerry Seinfeld is the actor inside the Hammerhead costume, or silly things
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. Those hidden cameos that we only find out the next day on Twitter. Oh, like this character was voiced by Mark Hamill or Sam Witwer, because Sam Witwer is, I don't know if you know, but he's the voice of which voice did he do? It was either the Rex bus driving droid or the little teak droid, the little teak character. He voiced one of the characters in the last episode, but you only knew it if you read those really small credits at the end.
Dino's an old curmudgeon now.
It
He's
needs
gone over.
horror and knives to keep
Yeah,
Dino
yeah.
awake,
Keep Dino
or
awake.
popcorn buckets. Eat
Yeah.
less popcorn, Dino. Gonna not be able to do this no more. You're gonna have to like fake it and push it up.
I'm not saying condense it. I'm saying just what you got to do is take out the opening credits and the end credits and just go right to the next episode.
Mhm.
I did not say condense the episode. No, we're not cutting anything out.
And
Make
I
it
wouldn't
be
want to
like
see a fan edit on Disney's platform. I would appreciate and understand why a fan might want make an edit on their own and put it on YouTube or whatever, just for for practice, for film editing practice or story theory or whatever the reason why people make fan edit, because people made fan edits of the prequels and the sequels, and we'll never see those
yeah.
on Disney. But I mean, do a little Google search, you can see people's edits where they remove scenes that they thought were not important or characters. Like you could remove 8 hours of Ahsoka and nothing would change in Star Wars lore, in my opinion. That's
No,
what Lack
I
said.
just
Lack
mean,
said people painting walls are better than watching this show, and I
nah.
was quite surprised. I was quite surprised. He's just disappointed that Lack's nephew was not on this episode, or his great uncle Brutus.
The pirates didn't chase them. No, I think a lot of those characters are gonna show up at the end or something. They're gonna be chasing
Oh,
them
absolutely.
down.
They've already threatened us with bounty hunters.
Yeah, they're gonna be chasing them down.
So hopefully the bounty hunters will be like just a new crew of characters. We've seen the pirate types, right, with their clothes and the different aliens. We got Snaggletooth and Bosks, and we haven't seen a Hammerhead pirate yet. We got a Reese pirate and a Tessic Not Tessic.
Yeah,
What's that?
whatever that green one was.
Yeah, the one guy who
green
kind of caught him.
got his eye shot out. The green dude. Yeah.
But so I think that's fun, and it keeps me in the Star Wars universe. And that's why I enjoyed this episode so much. Not just because of all the Hammerhead love. Obviously, the people who wrote and directed this episode, they obviously watch this show and follow me directly on social media because they know how much I love the Hammerhead character. Like,
Yes.
otherwise,
Exactly.
why would they bother, right?
Yeah. No, someone on the crew, especially in today's episode that we're talking about, really liked Hammerheads and they wanted it everywhere. No, Sticks,
Without a
it's
doubt, they must have, right?
yeah, it's okay, Sticks. I was just saying, like, if it has to be 5 hours long, make a 5 hour cut. It could be a 6 hour cut, a 7 hour cut. It's just all the content back to back in one long thing. Because I personally do sit down and put these shows on when they're done and let it play like all day while I'm doing something, while I'm working on stuff or doing
Sure,
things,
I've done the same, and I'll do
And
it. I'll do it
and
again
it
over the Christmas
sucks.
holidays.
It sucks with Star Wars, especially on, and maybe it's a Disney Plus thing, but it's like, yeah, you constantly have to pick up that controller and hit next episode, or else it'll play the whole freaking credits. And it's like you're just listening to credits music for like 10 minutes, and you have to be like, you see, I'm constantly stopping my work or doing stuff to just hit that next button, and I'd rather it just play through. So I'd like an edit that just has no credits and no opening thing, just plays through all the content straight through like it's a big long 7 hour movie.
How about a Schneider cut?
Yeah,
They
right.
add
Yeah,
in like
they
18
add in
hours
little parts. Yeah,
of
yeah,
unfinished, unedited, uncgi'd. I would love that. That's why I miss the old days of when DVDs were a new thing and there wasn't streaming services. I do miss the physical media, but mostly for the aspect of, like, that extra disc that's like 8 hours of the making of.
yeah.
I love that sometimes more than the actual film in a
Well, did
lot
you
of
notice?
cases.
I
And
mean,
now
they're
it's just
not.
unheard of. Like, it's
Well, they're not doing it with a lot of the current series stuff. But if you go back on Disney Plus, because I noticed this the other day, I went back to like episode 1 and was watching it, and I saw a little note that came up, and it said, "Check the extra section." Like it's in the, like when you're looking at the screen, you got that info, that little
yep.
info box. It said like, "Be sure to check out the extras." And when you click on down below, there's an extras tab, and it had all the making of and all the stuff of like that was on the DVDs.
Yeah,
And I'm
because they
going,
made it
oh,
back then. But they
yeah,
don't
yeah. But what
do
I
that
mean is
now
they've
for
put all
anything.
that stuff in now where it wasn't there when Disney Plus came out. There was
Oh,
no
I
extra
see.
and added to the. So, but because with these new series, what we get is we get that behind the scenes look that they do after the show is done. Do you know how they have
Or
that?
we get it a little bit every week now with their promotion and
Yeah,
the
the
marketing of the
YouTube.
show, which
Yeah,
I like a lot. And that's a lot and George Lucas kind of started that, in my opinion, from episode 1, when like the internet was born, basically,
yeah,
right? In the early mid-90s there. Everyone had dial-up internet. That was like the only option you had on your 56K modem. You go to starwars.com, like one of the 4 websites on the internet, and you watch the first trailer for episode 1 of the what are the Jar Jars ride, like Cadoos or whatever, similar to Eope. They ride those little camel creatures coming out of the reeds and the mist, and you're
yeah.
watching it on it's like a 1x3-inch video on your computer that cost you $6,000 in the 90s on
Yep.
56K dial-up, but you had to wait 4 minutes for like the first 8 seconds to load, because that's how the internet worked. And he would update the making of these movies on the website and whatnot, and it became a regular thing, which kind of disappeared until more modern days, where Disney Plus is doing a lot of that on their channel afterwards. Like, here's
Yeah.
season 1 of Mando, and here's an hour of how we made it. I love that, man. Like that's
Yeah.
the cat's ass.
But now but you're right. With this show, they're doing a lot on their YouTube channel where they put up little things about each. Yeah.
It's always possible, but you never know. Like, I think there's still fishy things about these planets that we're gonna find out. Like,
yeah,
where they hatched from embryos. Like, because why the planets have the similar species? They both have humans.
Yeah.
They both have hammerheads. They both have Greedos. But so far, only one planet had a little blue elephant kid.
But they had him in the painting, you said.
But they both had blue elephant on the wall, right? So
yeah.
It's interesting. It was just cool. It was just so cool to see all the hammerheads. I'm so impressed that they chose that character or that creature and design to participate again. Like, of course, we have him in Disneyland as Doc Ondor, and we had him show up in the Book of Boba Fett as Mayor McCheese. And
that's right.
Brilliant, man. Like, that was, people hate that show, but to me, that show was one of the best because of Mayor McCheese. I'll have to look again. I didn't see any teal onesies though. Maybe he was driving a tank.
Yeah.
I can see Hammerhead driving a tank for sure. But I'm gonna rate this episode higher than the first 3 episodes because it gave me some emotion and tingly feelings at the end there. Like, I didn't fall asleep during the episode. I waited until it came on at 6 p.m. or I think I started at 6:30 because I was eating dinner, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Ringer off, no interruptions, and I enjoyed the 34 minutes, whatever it was. That part pisses me off is that they're so short of an episode when I'm engaged to watch like a 2-hour movie.
It was only 31 episodes, but 10 of those minutes were. It was 31-minute episode, but 10 of them were credits at the end, so it was only really like 20 minutes.
So I did my exercise routine. I stretched. I ate dinner, all prepared to watch 2 hours of Star Wars awesomeness. And again, 30 minutes. And it's like, man. So that part kind of sucks, but I get it. It's
I actually think that these are. I think there's a marketing thing behind it because, like, when Disney goes to investors and other people who are putting up money, they can say, well, this is going to be a 10 episode series. And then they get that chunk of money for 10 episodes, but then they get done and they're like, crap, we only filmed 3 hours of stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure that's something too.
So we got to break it into 10 episodes because that's what we told the investors.
But I wonder if they even consider at all the number of episodes. Because it doesn't matter. They don't have to like fill a time slot, a certain day of the week, or they don't have so many minutes on their data plan. I don't think it's any of those things. I think they write it and produce it, and they figure, okay, we got 12 hours of this show.
No, because
how many episodes do we break it down, and then let's go edit it, and what we feel will make good cliffhangers and story arcs. That's why this show, I think, is one of the better written series so far. I think it is. I think it truly is. Even though, again, it has probably 10 different directors every episode.
Because, like, that's the thing. If you look at it, each episode does have different directors. So that means they broke it this way up when they wrote it.
Yes, I think so. There's 8 episodes.
It's not during editing, like after they film it. It's when they wrote it, they broke it up. And I think that breaking it up is because of like investors or whoever wants to have that number. Because the guys, when they sit down in boardroom meetings and they talk to these investors and get the money for the show and all that stuff, those people don't care. They don't even watch the show, dude. They don't. These people high up in the company, I doubt they even watch entire episodes or entire shows. They just watch like a reel that gives them an idea of what it was about, and that was it. They don't, and then they want to see numbers. They just want to see numbers. They want to see like da 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 da, and that's because like that's how it was whenever I was in a corporate job. Is like they don't give a crap how like the printer actually works. They don't want that printer. They're not going to own that printer that you're developing in research and development. They want to just have all the numbers. How much money will this make me? Is it going to work in the marketplace? Yes or no? You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm sure it's the same way in television and movies. They don't watch these things. These high up people, they want just the numbers. So they want, when they're in that board meeting, they just want that thing where it's like, okay, we got this show, we packed it, it's 8 episodes, great. You know what I mean? They don't care how long each episode is or what each thing is. So it's when they get down to the writing that they go, oh, we only wrote enough for 3 hours of material here. How are we going to break this into 8 episodes? Because that's what we promised during that board meeting. And
I
then
think
they have
that's
to write.
a rare beast in this trade of writing and filmmaking. I think almost in every case, when it comes from writers, I think they overwrite the fuck out of shit. Like, say they're making a movie, like, again, I brought up Snyderverse, Snyder Cut as an option. When not only do they film hundreds of hours more than what we end up seeing on the screen, they write hundreds of more hours on top of that of what they want their story to be done. And in the end, like you're calling the board members, I'm calling them just the editors and the executive producers like Favreau and Filoni and even Kathleen Kennedy to some extent are going to be like, okay, you got to cut this down to 10 episodes instead of 20, or let's stretch this out to 20 episodes instead of 8. Like, I think is what they end up doing with Andor. Yeah. Like, because Andor, originally they said it was going to be 5 years. Like, there's going to be 5 seasons of Andor. And they brought it down to 2. And for me, too, it's been the best Disney Plus, or even just Disney Plus era of Star Wars since Disney bought Star Wars. And I think that's fair for me to say. And that's because of the filmmakers. So the guys overall, so his writers and his producers and his filmmaking crew are top notch. Much like I respect James Gunn and what he does. He knows who he's hiring, the people that make the costumes or the VFX or the set designers. Like my taste is accustomed to, I guess, like where he feeds me the bullshit that I like to watch on the screen. Yeah. So I give him credit. Tony Gilroy with Andor too. Like, he's made some other great stuff before, but I'm a fan of his because of Andor.
I'm actually curious how James Gunn is going to do this stuff with, speaking of Gunn and the DC thing just for a moment, because tomorrow we get the new Superman trailer. But that kicks off the whole new DC universe with James Gunn in charge of this overall arc of what's going to happen for the next 10 years. Well,
actually, the Creature
movies.
Commandos, that's, I think, 3 episodes.
Yeah, I know, that was a James Gunn.
That kicks off.
But anyways,
Superman shows up in it.
He was on someone's podcast or something, and I saw I watched some highlights from it, and he basically said that he got them to agree to he's the one who's going to green light the films. Mm-hmm. And he said, I'm not going to green light a film until I have a script. Like right now in Hollywood, apparently what happens is they green light a film, they get all the money together, then they try to find writers. But before they even get the thing written, they have a date set for when they want it to come out.
Sure, yeah, one of your big like
Marvel. So now what happens is they end up having to rush at the end with all these rewrites and different things where they're like, the script isn't right, we're stuck with all this crap, and they end up with a terrible movie by the time they're done because they tried to fit it in this time frame. Where James Gunn was saying, they've given me the freedom to say, we're not going to greenlight a film until after I have the script fully done and in hand.
Well,
so I'm not gonna let a movie go forward until I have the writing done. The writing is the most important
part.
Who
do you think James Gunn answers to as the co-president of like DC Studios?
Well, I mean,
Not
it's
not a
does
he's like the Kathleen Kennedy of Star
but does
Wars.
Warner Brothers still own it?
They
You know what I
do,
mean?
but I mean that changes annually now. Like
Yeah,
who owns Warner Brothers and what they,
yeah.
so I mean,
But what
but
I
yeah,
mean is,
they
there is
basically
someone
given
above,
him
just like
a
with
green flag. You do whatever you want because everything in the past has failed.
yes, yeah,
So here's $1 billion for your first year salary. Let's see what you can do, James. Like it's
yeah,
something like that. Like
yeah,
there's
exactly.
no
But
investors in
what I
any
mean is,
way involved in anything he's doing right now.
like even right now with Star Wars, like Jon Favreau and Kathleen Kennedy and Dave Filoni and those guys, they don't have the right to make something. I mean, I guess Kathleen
I
Kennedy
think
is a
they
little
do.
bit like,
I think
but
Favreau and
Favreau
Filoni
and
are similar
Filoni, they
shoes.
don't green light shows. They have to pitch their shows to Kathleen Kennedy and people above Kathleen Kennedy.
Well, they greenlit the Skeleton Crew.
Kathleen Kennedy did, and people above
Yeah,
her
but
did.
if Filoni said I don't like it, or if Favreau said I don't like it, they wouldn't have made it. I guarantee you that. Like they're the biggest piece of the pie.
Yeah, but it wasn't their idea to do this. I mean, come on. It's like
No, it was the showrunners. Like there's a group of showrunners. I think it's 5 guys who wrote this, and I think it's coming back to 6 or 7 years ago now, because the Skeleton Crew was delayed. It was supposed to be before Andor and Ahsoka, and I think even Mando season 3, because that's kind of when it happens. It happens, in the Navarro timeline. Like another reason why I think for sure Mando or other characters in the Mandoverse are showing up pretty soon. Like in the next 2 episodes, we're going to be reintroduced into the Mandoverse with the Mando side of things, I think. But yeah, I think Favreau and Filoni have a lot of say and a lot of pull. And if they say yay or nay to something, I think it goes. Like I think even Bob Iger, who like signs the checks kind of thing, that's it. Like I don't think Bob Iger says, no, cancel this movie, cancel this series, this and that. And my comparison to that is there's a company called the Yummy Food Group. The Yummy Food Group owns Kentucky Fried Chicken, Taco Bell, Pizza Hut, A&W in the States, like all the basic major fast food restaurants except like Burger King, McDonald's. They own them all. They don't tell Kentucky Fried Chicken what to put in a recipe. They don't tell Taco Bell how thin of our tortilla shell to use or what kind of guacamole, where you get your guacamoles and avocados from. They just pay the bills. They're just the owner of conglomerate like company. Like it's just a name on top of a name for tax purposes and this and that. And so it's the same thing with like Disney, that people keep labeling Lucasfilm as Disney Star Wars, like in the same sentence. It's fucking not relevant to nothing. Like they pay the bills. That's it. Like for all we know, George Lucas still makes some of the calls on whether something's greenlit or red lit. Like we know that's the case for the character of Grogu or his backstory or many other characters in their backstory. They ask George, can hammerheads do this? Can they fly? They don't ask Bob Iger or one of the board investors, in the Mickey Mouse shareholders group, who are just people like you and me who own shares in Disney. They're not like rich business people in ties that go to Disney headquarters every day and have meetings about what's next year on Disney Plus. Like that's other people's job. That's executives and the people that run the company. They're not just the bill paying, the accountant side of things. I guess it's not accountants, but you know what I mean. I'm really getting tired of people associating Star Wars with Disney just because they sign the paychecks. Other people make the decisions on the day-to-day run operations of Lucasfilm. And I think Disney makes the decisions on things like why Willow is not on Disney Plus. Not the original movie and not the new series that they made, a year ago, 2 years ago. Like Warwick Davis made a post on Twitter the other day, like, man, I wish I could go watch Willow, but I can't. Like, and I'm thinking, wow, like his daughter starred in that new show. You know, probably one of the first and only acting things she's ever done, by far the biggest. And now she can't even watch that with her kids unless they got like some bootleg copy off Pirate Bay. Do you know what I mean? Like, how effed is that? And that's not Kathleen Kennedy making that call. That's the higher up, the people that run Disney Plus, in my opinion. I could be totally wrong, but
that's the people in that meeting that only care about the numbers, and they don't care. They don't even watch these shows. They just care about the numbers, and for whatever reason, they didn't feel like the numbers worked out well to keep it on the thing.
Hey, Vern, hey, Mr. B. What'd you guys think of the episode? Many, many hammerheads. And this show, like again, I've just seen the one negative in review of this. I've watched several others. They were all quite positive, and which I like to see, because there's reasons why there's positive reviews. Not everyone who enjoys watching Star Wars content is a shill and gets free promotion from Disney to say good things about your show. I genuinely enjoyed it. I felt very Star Wars-y. Thought the music's great. Thought the acting stood out in this episode. I'm liking a lot of the characters a lot more. And maybe by week 5, I'll remember most of their names.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
But
it's something for me that I'm kind of like, I just watch it as it comes out. I watch it on Wednesdays because I can't stay up that late usually. I was falling asleep today, that's why I was late, you know. But if I didn't set an alarm, I would have missed today. I would have been asleep, you know. Like
I figured.
Yeah, the alarm woke me up.
I'm so excited about new Star Wars content.
But
all day yesterday, I thought was Monday. All day Monday, I'm like, oh my god, 4 more hours. I get to watch Skeleton.
Yeah, I thought the same thing.
And then I'm like, oh, it's only freaking.
And I've been
Monday.
I've been off this whole week because I thought Monday was Tuesday. I thought yesterday was Wednesday, and I thought today was Thursday. Like all day, like it's been in all 3 days. I've been off a day, and I'm like, I even told my mom.
John, it's me too, and I think it's those Eastern U.S. drones that are causing you and me to have this time lapse delay.
Of course it is. Yeah.
I got a notice a week ago that the water will be turned off in my apartment building all day on December 18th from 8 in the morning till 4:30 at night. So I purposely got up early, had my shower, loaded the dishwasher, brushed my teeth because I knew the water was being turned off. And then noon, I go to wash something. The water's working. And then today I woke up and realized, it's today is the 18th. So yesterday I went all day not using water, thinking it was turned off, not flushing the toilet, shit I couldn't do. And I got the date wrong again. So it happened to me 2 days in a row. I think it's the drones.
Yeah, of course it is.
Cool. I'm glad at least some people have some similar opinions, and it's not just
he's being sarcastic.
My heart.
He said it's the best episode this week.
Well, because there's no other crap on TV that's any good right now. And if Vern says Silo or some other crap.
Yeah, because he's watching Silo and Creature Commandos, and there's a lot of shows that had episodes this week that were good.
What did you think of the 8-second teaser trailer for the teaser trailer of Superman today?
I think it's going to be good.
But did you see the 8-second teaser trailer of the teaser trailer?
Of course I did, yeah.
Or 4 seconds of it is like tomorrow.
Yeah,
look. And then the other 4 seconds is Daily Planet. Clark Kent. They show all the
it says look up,
And the music.
Well, they're humming it right now. They're like they got that chorus humming it. But I think the trailer, when it comes out tomorrow on Thursday, that humming, that chorus that's mouthing and humming the is going to go into the John Williams music, and I think it's just going to blow everybody away.
Yeah,
But
he hasn't
here's
said
what
that there's no
here's
John
what I would
Williams
have
music
done.
in it.
Here's what I would have done with the drones that are going around right now, because this is pushing look up so much.
Yes,
like
it
even
is.
in the what I would have done is I would go out and I would dress up thousands of drones like Superman.
Hang
And
little
then what
Mego
I would do
Superman
is
on him.
what I would put a cape on it and everything. You know what I mean? Like little feet, little legs sticking out,
Okay,
so
wait.
it looks like
I'm just
Superman.
contacting my people on the East Coast now, John.
And what I would do is I would say, like, at 6 o'clock, everyone go outside and look up. And above every major city and every town in America, I would have them fly a Superman drone overhead.
Dude, that's marketing. Marketing
Because
101.
that would get everybody looking up, which is what the thing says. And everyone will be out there with their videos, with their phones, videoing Superman flying overhead, you know? It would be cool.
And I'm not gonna lie. I know I briefly talked with you about it just last week or last weekend. I am thoroughly engaged on this fucking drone shit going on. I'm all over it. It's not one drone flying around by a hobbyist. There are literally hundreds of them. There's thousands of reports. I've watched 4 live streams at the same time in different counties of drones, like going near each other and then becoming one and getting bigger. And I'm like, these aren't all people that have mastered CGI. There's not thousands of people in America that know how to make fake.
The drones are in the UK and Australia also. You've seen those.
Well, I don't see that
right?
news. I just see.
There's videos online. It's YouTube's full of them.
No, but YouTube tends to promote North American shit to me when it comes to news.
And I don't know.
I don't see the BBC news updates on YouTube. Like I see.
I do. I don't know why you don't.
Well, because I don't search for it or ever watch it.
But yeah, they show them all over. There's one area of the UK that they've been going over as well, and then they're also in Australia and stuff. So they're more than just here in the United States. They're all over the world.
So we got 2 minutes. We'll talk about these drones here because here's my 3 theories, and one of them is correct. First one, which I want to be correct, is it's fucking aliens. It's fucking aliens. It's fucking aliens. It's fucking aliens. Okay, that's the one I want to be correct. The second rumor that's getting around this week is that they're all controlled by the U.S. government, Army, FDA, whatever those 3-letter words are, and they're looking for something. Okay, so that's A. 2A. 2B is what they're looking for. So they're either looking for, the rumor has nuclear stuff that's in America. Okay, that's one of the option B, which I want to be, is they're looking for alien stuff in America. So those are the 2 options so far. The third ones is they're from other countries and they're doing bad stuff. So those are the only 3 options, and one of them is true.
Yeah.
If you have a fourth option, let me know, because what would a 4th option be? It's
one of those 3
planned together in a Facebook group. Let's all
we'll find out
drones and fly them over New Jersey.
We'll find out tomorrow if that maybe all these drones were tests by Warner Brothers in DC to see how much they could get these drones flying around. And tomorrow they'll all be dressed up like Superman and flying over our heads at 6 o'clock.
So there's a little bit of homework for everyone. I want everyone to go look up one night this week. One night. It's got to be night, because for whatever reason, these drones, as have been called, they only fly at night, which is weird.
No, I've been videos of them during the day. I've seen them.
Well, that's not when most people are seeing them. They're it's obviously some kind of night ops crap that's going on. But no, they're not looking for me, Vern, because I'm in Canada.
That's Mr. B.
We actually have drone rules in Canada. Apparently in the States, anyone can fly a freaking drone anywhere they want.
No, we can't. We have
But
rules.
that's what they're saying on the news. And
no, we have rules. Like if
one
I
of the
flew a
things that
drone,
they're
if I went
saying
outside right now and flew a drone in my city, I'd be arrested.
is trying to figure out a way to regulate drones, and they're only doing this to bring it up in the Senate and ban drones. I don't know. It's a possibility. I think it's too political to be that.
No, it's not.
I don't think it's a political thing that all these drones are up there to interrupt Trump's inauguration. I don't think that's it. I think that's a very far fetch. But
no, but if I went outside, if I got caught flying a drone in my neighborhood, I'd be arrested. It is illegal in my neighborhood to fly a drone unless you're commercially licensed to fly a drone. And they have to hire you to fly that drone before you can fly it in this area.
Okay, so from what I know,
and you can't fly drones over any residential area. You can't fly drones over like a sports arena. You can't fly drones,
airports and army bases.
And anything. Yeah. So you can only fly as a recreational user, someone who bought a drone off the shelf. I can only fly if I go to a park.
Yeah, that's kind of the rules.
Or on my own property in a field.
That's kind of the rules here as well, unless you said you're a real estate agent and you get a permit to fly over the new high rise under
exactly. Yeah.
Of course, and that's daytime. But you might be able to get a permit to go up at dusk to film it with the lights on so you get a cool night vision. I'm sure that happens too. And I know it's different in every state. But I know for a fact watching and the shows I've been watching, weirdly, because they're shows I've never watched on YouTube before, but I'm watching them because of this new drone epidemic thing that's going on, is all these American prepper channels. Like they're preppers for war and whatever, right? Like they're all Trumpers, they're all preppers. It's just, that's a thing. We do have them in Canada, but not. It's a big thing in America, preppers, right?
Yeah.
Underground bunkers ready for get lots of canned corn and bullets because the drone wars are coming. But I know from watching these guys that in many of their states, it's a drone free for all. There's no real regulation except airports, army bases.
Well, that's because they live in Montana or
Texas or
where there's big open areas that just no one lives in.
Open carry states. So I know it is different in every state, but I mean,
yeah,
it's got my curiosity. After this, I'm going to look for some any updates today. Like, and when I look up at the sky, I've seen it 2 nights in a row. One about 6 o'clock because it gets dark quite early now, and one around 10 o'clock, and the moon is in a different place in the sky. So that's my focal point because it's bright and I would see things close to it when I'm not near streetlights and whatnot. But I see the moon, and I want to understand. I want to know if other people in other parts of the world see the same as me, because I haven't gone on Google and find out where this is yet. But where, in approximation to the moon, is the space station? Because I'm curious, because when I look at the moon and I look, I'm going to say about this far to the right, I see like 2 lights.
Yeah, well, no. Listen. The space station is not in a geosynchronous orbit where it'll be in the same spot like the moon is. Like the moon.
That's part of my point, because one night it was on the right side, on the other side it was on the left-hand side.
No, it moves so fast that you see it every 90 minutes.
Oh, like that, really, eh?
Yeah, like you can. So if you want to see the space station, because I've watched this, I've done this a number of times where you can watch it and you can time it, and it's about 90 minutes before it comes back around. But you'll see an extremely bright. It's brighter than any of the stars, and it'll go across your sky. You'll see this really bright, like brighter than a star, going across the sky, and maybe about 1.5 inches in your finger, when you hold your fingers up behind it. So it'll be a big bright star, and then there's a little tiny dot behind it, and they're moving at the same speed. And that little dot is maybe about that 1.5 inch finger distance behind it. and that's the space station with this other little sub thing behind it. Like I don't know if
So
it's a power
is that
thing or
4
what, but
parsecs? Is that a
I don't
parsec?
know. Yeah, parsec. Yeah, but that's the space station, and I've seen it a number of times because we've gone out to purposefully watch it sometimes. Like
Oh, Stargate. I'm a star
yeah,
watcher too sometimes when it because I
and
do live in an area where I can look up and see some
because Dad,
clear skies without that big pollution of the city lights. You know, you get that light pollution. But it's weird just because there's 2 lights. Like I know it's going to be a star, and there's another star just right beside it. But shouldn't everyone see the exact same stars at the same
well,
time of night? Like if it's midnight and I look up, I see this. When it's midnight where you are, you should be seeing the same shit. Like literally,
but
but
it's gonna
maybe
be in
different by
slightly,
4 degrees or something.
yeah, they're going to be in slightly different spots because of where you live compared to me. Even West Coast to East Coast of the United States, your sky view is going to be slightly different.
Sure,
But
no, I understand that.
if you're seeing a big star near the moon that at some point is on the left of the moon and then a little bit later it's on the right, that's probably a planet, not a star. You're
Possibly
seeing
because some of
you're
these
seeing
mistaken
Jupiter or
identities,
Saturn, or you're
yeah,
seeing
some of these
Jupiter,
mistaken
Saturn,
identities have been
or
Jupiter.
Venus. Yeah,
They had a
because
scientist on, and he's like, "Yeah, that's Jupiter. That's not a drone.
yeah, because
That's an airplane."
they move at a different rate than the stars behind them move, and they move at a different rate than the moon moves. So you're going to be seeing, you're probably seeing a planet that's moving. You know,
It's just really intrigued the hell out of me because, like, as everyone knows, I'm a Sasquatch lover, right?
yeah.
I'm a Bigfoot. I'm a fan of the foot. Let's put it that way. But I'm also like, I'm not. I don't wear a tinfoil hat everywhere. Like, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm a left coast theorist. I think that there is a better chance than not that Bigfoot is a real entity.
Well,
I
I
think
know
it's
he's a real entity.
better
I'm not
chance
saying I don't have any
than
belief or think of this at all. I know he's real.
I think it's better chance than not that there are freaking aliens,
Well, that
and they
too.
do look like Kenner Hammerhead. And I just that's where I go, but like I'm not being skeptic or any.
Yeah.
I think it's better chance that they do exist than don't exist. And I don't think the world would end if we finally acknowledged aliens exist. I think
No, I don't think it
it
will
would just
either.
add a new area of expertise for people who can get educated and
I don't
jobs and sell
I think most
merchandise.
people I think most people would go about their daily lives and they wouldn't care at all if they came out tomorrow and said, which they basically did in the last hearing, because the last hearing in Congress was they finally did, instead of saying non-biologic or biologics from non-human biologics or whatever, the last one, that hearing they did on the 13th or 14th of November, like while they were in the hearing, they actually said aliens, like from outer
Yes.
space.
Yeah.
It was the first time they actually said, so we're talking aliens from outer space, like the other planets. And they were like, yes. You know what I mean? It was the first time they actually said it in Congress. So, I mean, like, they have come out, and now they've come out and said some of these things are alien technology from other planets. That was the disclosure right there.
Yeah.
They just
Well,
said it in that congressional
they
hearing.
got to do better than that, I think. If
Yeah, I know, but I mean, so because I've gone back and forth on this my whole life from when I was a kid. When I was a kid reading those books about, like UFOs and things, and reading about Project Blue Book and all that, like I immediately thought this was all true. Like UFOs were actually alien craft and aliens were visiting Earth. But as I got older, I went into this mindset of like, if it were true, what's taking them so long to like show themselves? Like, why would they hide and just fly around and let us see their craft? And why would they select only certain people to abduct and like look at and talk to and stuff? Like, I couldn't think of any reason, because like supposedly they've been coming for thousands of years. You know what I mean?
or they
And I,
currently live in the
it's
bottom of the
not like
ocean or they
And I
currently
thought,
live in Antarctica where people can't go.
But what I thought was, let me finish my point. What I
Yeah.
thought was, why, like, if you're going to conquer somebody to conquer them, you don't do it over 6,000 years. If you're going to steal all their water or any other resource, you don't do it over 6,000 years. You need that stuff now, so you do it immediately. You don't go, yeah, we're going to do this over a 6,000 year plan, or a
You should
10,000
email
year
that
plan.
to Russia's current leader and
It's like you
ask him
do.
why he's spending 8 years on a battle
But
in 2024. Like it's all
yeah,
such phony baloney stuff
so
over there.
so most of the stuff, like like a lot of people are like, well, they're trying to blend in with our society and take it over from within.
Yeah,
You wouldn't do that over a
that's why
10,000.
Elon's an alien.
You wouldn't do that over a 10,000 year plan if they've been coming to us since the dawn of time.
How
So I'm
surprised
like,
would you be if
I
Elon Musk was a freaking alien?
so now I'm like, as an adult, and now that we have all these government officials and military people coming forward and saying, yeah, that alien ships. So I went to a point where I was like, none of it's real. All these people are just disillusioned. They're seeing weird things. None of it's real. But now that all these government officials are coming out and military people are coming out and saying, yeah, it's actually real. We do have crash ships. We have seen aliens. This is alien technology from outer space. It's other beings, not human. Now it's like I'm back on the, okay, yes, they are real. This really is real. You know what I mean? So I'm
Sure you're
back on
voting
it.
that poll so we can get really accurate numbers on how important Hammerhead is to the Star Wars universe.
Oh yeah, that's right. I voted.
And
I went and voted.
I'll tell you right now, if right now I went and I changed the thumbnail and the title of the stream to drone watching in New Jersey, we would have 1,000 people watching. It's insane, man, because I watched the channel grow and become monetized in 3 hours last week because he was filming a drone in his neighborhood, and he was like just so surprised. He's like, I was just looking up, man, and look, it's like you can clearly see it and all that kind of stuff. Very interesting. But thanks for everyone for joining us and talk about drones. I mean, Skeleton Crew episode 4. Something At Attin is the title, which I thought was very clever. So let's see the poll results. Going to end the poll with 56% never enough hammerheads.
Really? I'm surprised it's almost 50-50. That's crazy.
Well, that's because I think 4 people voted. and Vern probably voted twice. If you can. I don't think you can do that. But yeah, I'm glad we got to break down this episode because it was a good one in my opinion. Gave me a little feeling, tingly bits.
I think this is another. It's been this way with the last couple Star Wars for me, where I start watching it and I'm into it. I like it, and I have to see where it's going before I can establish my opinion. And like, I liked the first couple things of Acolyte more than other people did. But by the time it got to the end, I didn't like the show, and I could care less about Osha and May, and I didn't like them. I didn't like those characters. So
I'm disappointed because chances are we'll never hear the end of that story in live action
I don't know.
form.
We'll see.
So that's the part that pisses me off about that.
Yeah. And so I think, and that happened like with Obi-Wan, but with Obi-Wan, I was happy by the end. I don't know why people don't like that show. I've actually rewatched Obi-Wan like 3 or 4 times now. And like, I don't get why people don't like that show. I think it's perfect. It's fine.
I think, you know what, the reason I don't like it, because it costs more for me to buy eggs at Walmart than they spent making each episode of the Kenobi show. That was the lowest budget Disney project they've ever. I don't know the stats, but for my eyes, it's the lowest budget Star Wars, Marvel, any original Disney product they put on their channel since they launched it. In my opinion, and that doesn't count Kenobi's salary.
I mean, when the ships fly by and when they fly around, they look the same as any other
ships flew by. It was all
stage. What do you mean? They had
I know they
snow
had a couple of
speeders. They
scenes.
had all these things. Yeah, it
Yeah,
looked the same as any other show.
it was no that and Ahsoka were so bad.
Rewatch it. You have to watch it. But anyways,
And we'll
all
never
I'm
know
trying
who
to say
Obi-Wan
is,
Kenobi's brother is.
by the end of it, I ended up liking the show as a whole.
It
By
had
the end of
closure.
Ahsoka,
Yes.
I liked the show as a whole. I was judging Acolyte better in the beginning, but by the end of it as a whole, I didn't like it. Where this one is, I like it so far, but I don't feel like I can give it a rating or say how the show is going until I've seen it as a whole thing, because
Mhm.
I think there's stuff behind this show, especially, that we haven't been clued into yet. And by the end of it, whether or not I like this show as a whole is going to depend on what these planets mean, what this whole story means, and how it unfolds, because there's the underlying stuff within this show is what has me intrigued about it.
Oh, absolutely. How it's going
There's
to
so
tie to the
much
sequels.
there's so much behind the scenes that's going on. It's not really about the kids. It's about these 7 planets, what they're building, what the goal is, what this was all set up for during the old republic. And
I am curious.
now if we look at it and go, did the Empire wipe out these other planets?
Yeah, that's
And
the answers
Attin
we
is the
want.
one that survived? Like, why did the Empire, so was this something that was not set up by Palpatine? Because, you know what I mean? Like, there's all these questions that are coming into thing. And like I said, it depends on how all this is answered by
And
the
my big
end.
question, based on the current characters in Skeleton Crew, is how Jod Nanawood will apply to the overall Mandoverse. Like, because I
Yeah,
guarantee you, as the lead actor of this series,
he'll
much
be
like
back in other stuff.
Ewan and Hayden and Rosario Dawson of their series, and Tamara Morrison, he is the guy in this series. He will be part of that Mando movie. He may be in
Maybe, yeah.
the next Ahsoka series or Boba Fett or Mando, whichever they ended up doing, because I'm thinking they're going to do at least one of them. And there's talks, because this show is one of the highest rated shows since Mando. It's now talking season 2.
I don't know.
So that's interesting too, because I've heard the directors talk about that, and they're like, "Yeah, we have it all figured out. If that's to happen, it would be the characters would all age a few years, and it's all figured. That's as much as they've gone into it, but they have acknowledged that it is, of course, an option. Of all these things are options, right?
Yeah.
So they've been paid for one season. If it's super successful, they'll bring them in and say, "All right, we're green lighting season 2. You got 8 more episodes, 27 minutes each. Go fill your boots. You got 3.5 years to do it."
Well,
Or whatever their
the one
timeline.
kid, when the one kid went to the premiere, he said it's great to finally see it in the film in the theater, because he said he filmed his parts 3 years ago.
Yeah, that's because the show got delayed for that long.
Yeah.
Like, we don't notice that the kids are already 3 years older than when they filmed this, but they
Yeah.
really are. Like, because they're all 8 to 11, none of them have gone through a big growth spurt and are 6 feet tall yet. But
Yeah.
watch next year when these kids pop up at Celebration for a little interview on the stage. 2 of them will be 6'4" and have
They
pimples.
will. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
will have a
Exactly.
beard. Like they are
Yeah.
gonna age. So it'll be
Yeah.
interesting, because if they're in the current Mando movie or whatever is being filmed now, they're going to be very similar in age. They don't look 5 years older than when they filmed the show, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's kind of usually
But
adults are safe, but when it's child, like we notice in Stranger Things, they're all like in their 30s now.
Yeah,
And it's
I know.
season 5
And you
or
saw it. You
season
really
8.
saw it with Harry Potter over the 7 or 8 movies. You
Yes,
were
they
like, "Oh my
did
god,
get beards.
they're like
Like,
25
didn't
years
Will
old by
eventually
the
like
time."
have a mustache and a beard? Like,
But but yeah, and going with Jord real quick before we end, like, I think it's very interesting that his character is not a Jedi, but yet he clearly can use the Force. And
Yeah, yeah.
that's something that I've wondered about like for a long time. I've like, are they ever going to show us a character that's a normal day-to-day character that's not a Jedi but uses the Force?
Broom Boy.
Because yeah, like Broom Boy, like that kind of thing. Because like I said, why would Broom Boy ever stop if he knew he could like move something to his hand? Why would he ever stop doing that? Yeah, he might not develop his talent
He
to
mentioned
the level
practicing
of a Jedi, but you would never stop like moving stuff to your hand. Like if I could grab a soda
because
from
you could.
across the
Yeah,
room, I would do it. You know what I mean? If I could just like
but
if
maybe
I'm
not
over
in
here
front of people.
that thing, I would do it.
Maybe not in
And
front of people to give away your magic that you have, right?
yeah, maybe, but I mean, some people I think would. I mean, why not? But I mean, so I think that if someone had that talent from a young age where they could tap into the Force and use it, I don't see why they would ever stop using it, even if they never became a Jedi or a Sith. But they just
Of course.
wouldn't be as tapped into it and as powerful like a Sith or Jedi who trained in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting that they finally had, because when you could come up with a number of ways, just like the girl did, for how the key got moved. But then later on, when he makes that noise, he does the Obi-Wan trick where he makes a noise like
Yeah.
that. That was clearly the Force making a something to make those guards look the other way. You know what
And
I
maybe
mean? There
that's
was,
the only two tricks he knows.
yeah, maybe you're right. I mean,
He
he knows how
mentioned
to.
too when he got off the what's the ship called? The something Cinder. He got off the pirate ship and he's like, "Oh, this place it looks and smells like my home planet, like dry and dusty." So now it's like, okay, well, where does he come from then? Like, is he a Tatooine boy? Like, of course, I bring up Tatooine. No one wants everyone
Yeah,
to revisit Tatooine or Navarro. Like we know they're
yeah,
going to visit other planets because we've seen it in the trailer. We see like a snowy ice looking planet.
yeah. That's
We
probably next.
Yeah.
They're
So
going
will
to
they
the.
eventually ever get back to At Attin? That's
It'll be at the end, the last episode.
the
Yeah,
final 3 minutes of the last episode.
yeah, yeah,
And then they'll leave it at a cliffhanger as they pull out that big giant gun on the roof of the school to shoot at something, and then it'll be like end credits.
yeah, yeah,
But yeah, I had fun this week, John. Thanks for joining me, and we'll
yeah,
do it all again next week. Thanks to everyone who stopped by in the chat. Please remember to hit that like button, and afterwards, if you comment on the post, someone else might get a chance to like it as well, who's not already following, and boost the YouTube algorithm. And we'll keep doing this every week. If John's sleeping or not, if Lack's at a Christmas recital or not, we'll still get this done. So thanks for hanging out and talking the Skeleton Crew.
yeah. Stay awesome out there, everybody.
Cheers.
That coast is the best coast.